The Road Traffic Management Corporation, or RTMC, estimates that 1 in 3 driver's licenses have been obtained fraudulently. With their National Anti-Corruption Unit and help from other law enforcement agencies, they hope to clamp down on this corruption and ultimately on the high death rate on the roads. Recently, the unit arrested a couple in KwaZulu-Natal after the woman allegedly attempted to write a learner's test on behalf of her partner. This is not a new story. Our journalist, Griselda Lewis, exposed how to buy a license disc very, very easily. Let's take a look at her insert first.
The Langlaagte testing station said to be fraught with corruption. Scamsters working with JMPD officials sell car papers illegally. We track one and call him.
Imoto is Eastern Cape.
What is the more important thing about ID? Okay,
when we arrive, we spot the fraudster casually pacing the corridors. Outside, he demands money. At our next meeting, to our surprise, more money is demanded. Transfer and receive this complete license document of an unknown person and his car details and the disc. The price tag, 1,500 rand. JMPD.
There is a possibility that she could be linked to a lot of other fraud where she issued license discs or even registering of vehicle fraudulently. So there is going to be a wider case, and then also where she will have to be charged criminally after being dealt with internally.
While the official in question is expected to be charged next week, the Johannesburg Metro Police Department does not rule out the possibility that more corrupt officials will be implicated in the vehicle document scandal. Griselda Lewis, SABC News in Johannesburg.
So after our SABC expose, this official was actually fired, which is some good and positive news. Well, joining us here to discuss all of this, we've got in studio with us Simon Zwane. He, of course, is the spokesperson for the RTMC, that's the Road Traffic Management Corporation. And we've also got, who's just arrived now, we're going to bring him in and seat him in this interview, is Howard Dembowski, who is from the Justice Project South Africa. I want to start off with Simon, and hopefully in the meantime we'll get Howard to come and be seated. But Simon, thank you very, very much for being with us. Look, good development that at least that official has been held to justice.
Yes, it's not the only official that's been held to justice. In Limpopo there were some, I think 5, and in KZN, there have also been a couple of them that have been arrested, and they are facing disciplinary charges, because every week we've also been closing down some of the private roadworthy testing centers where these kinds of things are happening. It's part of a pushback that we have decided upon, because we understand that these fraudulently obtained documents, they are a cause of major accidents on our roads, and we need to do something about them. So as part of that, every week there are people that we are arresting, and some are facing disciplinary charges within the
That's quite frightening. I mean, that must be a very high number if you're talking every single week people are actually being arrested, apprehended for the things that they're doing. I mean, we saw Griselda getting her vehicle license, or a vehicle license, for 1,500 rand, and it seemed like a very easy procedure. But now, in order to get a vehicle license, we all know there has to be different rules in place. You've got to have a driver's license, you've got to be up to date on your fines. So there are lots of things that need to be in place. So, I mean, how long do you suspect this has been going on for?
I think it's been going on for quite some time, to such an extent that people think that they've developed an attitude that they can get away with it, and that's why it becomes necessary that we have this pushback. And last year in October, the President also authorized the Special Investigative Unit to also get into the space and do investigations together with us so that we are able to bring this thing under control.
Yeah. Simon, I'm glad that you're here with us, but we're also now joined by Howard Dembrovsky, who's from Justice Project South Africa. I'm glad you could make it, Howard. Thank you. Yeah, that was squeezing in the nick of time. But Simon, talking us through some of the developments and the fact that there have been some improvements and there have been arrests. In fact, there are arrests every single week taking place of these officials that are doing things illegally. From your investigations and from your sort of insights, how long do you think this has been going on for, and how bad is the situation?
Well, we know for a fact it's been going on for at least the last 18 years.
Sure.
And the reason we know that is because the SIU put out a report in 2002 stating at that stage that somewhere in the order of half of the driving licenses that were being issued were irregular in one way or another. Now, that is a frightening statistic.
Yeah, it is.
We're talking now, I believe, about a third. That's still too much, because if you think that 1 in 3 people coming towards you on the road are actually unqualified to drive, because let's remember that a driving license is a qualification to drive.
Yeah.
It is not a license to go out there and do whatever the hell you please. Okay, it's a qualification to show that you are capable of driving. Whether it's a qualification to show that you're capable of driving safely or not is a completely different debate altogether. But the fact is that if we start at the very foundation of drivers on our roads, licensing has got to be the place where we start. And it's very encouraging to see that there is some action, because for a decade there was no action at all.
Yeah, and now suddenly there is action. I mean, Simon, if we look at the National Anti-Corruption Unit, it was actually established in 2012.
Yes.
How has it been allowed to get out of hand? Because to still say 1 in 3 drivers' licenses have been obtained fraudulently or illegally.
Yes.
I mean, you know, we keep asking the question, why is the death rate on our roads so high? This could be one of the biggest contributing factors that perhaps we're overlooking.
Yes.
But this unit, what have they been doing?
They have been investigating. It's just that we have a limited number of people. With more people, we can have more results.
Yeah.
But we are beginning to see some results because of the work that have been done. We have complemented the number of people that we have in the last year or two, and that's why now we are beginning to see this. It also takes time to do these kinds of investigations because there are many people that are involved. There will be middlemen. There are also sometimes there are driving schools operators that are involved. So it takes time. The investigations take quite a lot of time before you can get to a stage where you have to arrest. But more work is being done, and I can tell you, in one station that we're investigating about 1,000 in just one station, 1,000 fraudulently issued
driver's licenses.
Yes.
Over what period, if I may ask?
Over a period of about 6 months. So
1,000
I'm surprised it's that long, because if you have a look at the volume of people who are going and getting driving licenses, let's remember that we are adding to this pool of new licensed drivers at a rate of just over 500,000 people per year.
yes.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Secondly, let's look at the volume of people that we already have on the roads who are already unqualified drivers because they're driving on fraudulently issued driving licenses. And please, let's not confuse this type of driving license with a counterfeit driving license, because we've got those two. And that's another problem, because not only is the RTMC battling with this internal problem in driving license testing centres, but there are also criminal elements operating outside of those ambits who are issuing proper counterfeit driving licenses.
Is there any way of determining, and Simon, I ask you this on the back of something that you've said. We know that in one testing station alone, within 6 months, 1,000 illegal driver's licenses have been issued. Is there any way of determining if you have an illegally obtained driver's license, or is it so sort of, gets through the system because you've passed, you've bribed your instructor, you've bribed this one, you've bribed that one, and everything looks legit, but they didn't deserve it. Is there any way of determining?
It's difficult to determine on the face value of a document that this is a fraudulent one.
Yeah.
But with the counterfeit or fake ones, yes, you may be able
then
to
you'll
see.
Be able to.
Yes, but these ones, it goes through the system properly and
you'll
gets
never be
issued.
able to tell.
You'll never be able to
So I could be driving around, I could have just given my instructor a bottle of whiskey or a wad of cash, and he would have given me and passed, but I didn't deserve it, and that's the reality.
That's the reality.
Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you a big favour because we started this interview so late. Simon, I know you're in a rush. Would you be able to stay just for a few more minutes? We need to get the news to our viewers, and then we'll just try and get to a little bit more of this interview, because I think it's something that's very important and people are also writing in and responding. Would that be okay? Just to delay this for a little bit. Good. So our guests have agreed to stay on just a little bit for us. And what we'll do is we'll get your news to you. And what we'll do after that is also get your opinions. Write to us at Morning Live SABC. Have you obtained your license fraudulently? I'm sure you don't want to admit to that, but do you know someone who has? How easy was it? And what do you think should be done? All right, we've got your news at 8 after this.